Okay. Hi, everyone. I want to thank the people that we invited today, Dr. Piroshka and Dr. Jakob from the Academy of Economic Studies in Bucharest. For them, it's 8 hours later. So for them, it's 9 o'clock in the evening. In Bucharest, but I'm sure I met with them a few weeks ago, and it seems that there's this schedule. It never ends. It's only up to 12 o'clock in the night or something like that. They have to be active. Functions of responsibility come with a lot of obligations. Let me clarify for everybody present here. This is a series of discussions that I set up, I put together with experts in communication and public relations around the world. Actually, for my other class, PR Visual Communication, 3 hours ago, I was talking with somebody from Africa, from Kenya. So these discussions will be very, very interesting. For our experts, I told you about this, but this is a graduate class, ACS 557. It's for the master program in applied communication studies, but we have people also from outside the program because it's an elective that is open to a different array of students from MBA, from integrative studies, and so on and so forth. But mainly, we will have here master students in public relations or related tracks, because we don't have only public relations in applied communication studies. Let me present the speakers for today, though your CVs in full were made available for the students on their Blackboard shell. We're talking with Dr. Grigore Ioan Piroshka, Associate Professor and Dean in the School of Management, which includes in Bucharest, I understand, Communication Management and Public Relations, from the Academy of Economic Studies in Bucharest, Romania. We also have Dr. Silvia Elena Jacob, Associate Professor and Vice Dean in the same School of Management in the Academy of Economic Studies. Again, thank you very much for your time. And we said that the structure of this discussion will go on maybe for the next hour or so. I made available last night, very late at night for me too, the questions that the students posted for you. So you have the questions with you, but otherwise they can ask the questions themselves, especially those who are present. But I will start with, I have this privilege. I will start with the questions from the professor to kind of set the tone for the discussion. What are some key characteristics of public relations and communication management that you have noted in international settings? And this is a question for Dr. Piroshka and Dr. Jakob.
International key frame of PR and communication is set by Anglo-Saxon and eventually Nordic organizational culture model. Today, we all use American communication models and the mainstream of PR principle based on personal relationships, lobby, and communication techniques.
Okay. So this is the reality that you see in Romania, right?
Yes.
I know that there has been kind of a wave 10 years ago of influencers, people who were former journalists that were switching to being bloggers. And then when social media hit, when rapid devices hit, actually, these bloggers became very much influencers, and they were consulted in many issues. But also another phenomenon in communication in Bucharest, I know for sure because I've done my PhD thesis on this. Starting from models of public relations in the United States, I wanted to see a country in Western Europe and the country in Eastern Europe, and I approached France and Romania, and I compared what was going on in the PR field. And I saw that, and that was 2000, I started in 2006 and it ended in 2010. I know that another phenomenon that is present in public relations in the in Romania is that there are many international public relations companies. that sometimes take over local ones because they have bigger budgets or a bigger extent of their business. And Romania is many times taken regionally into a group of issues to be debated, to be promoted, and so on and so forth. So international companies have a big say in public relations in Romania, but there are also some boutique public relations firms that are smaller, that kind of made the name for themselves, and sometimes institutions of the state or higher education institutions like the Academy of Economic Studies do their own promotion, right? The government also. Right. By the way, for the government, did they ever use or do they disclose it? Public relations firms that are from abroad and they promote the government with them? No.
Not at all. Not even closer. You said about impacted by culture, and I think this is very important for our students here to see the difference because we also have here an issue about Yugoslavia, the former Yugoslavia. We are in a border zone here between of the West and the legacy of the East, the Oriental world. Of course, taking into account the issues related to organizational culture, we have the mainstream of Hofstede with some dimensions related on distance on power and the risk and time, but we also have here a very important writer, an American writer on organizational culture, Edward T. Hall. And Edward T. Hall is one of the most important thinkers in organizational culture who underlies the importance of high and low context meaning. And Romania is a very high context culture, meaning whereas United States, the north of the Europe, and the whole Anglo-Saxon world is a low context culture. As a joke, one Spaniard from headquarters of NATO from Brussels told me that one evening a German officer invited them to a glass of wine because it was his birthday. And of course, the Spaniard, as a Romanian, expected by one glass of wine to have a huge party and to drink a barrel of wine. But the German said about one glass of wine, and everything was one glass of wine each participant of that party. After that glass of wine, the party was over. This is Germany, and this is low context culture. What you see is what you get. In Romania, there is no such a thing. Romania, Russia, maybe Mrs. Quentin White would say if I'm right, China and Asia are all countries with very high context culture, meaning that here everything is happening due to the context, the personal feelings, the lockdown, how was the day of the boss, how was the day of your children, how is the weather like. Maybe you have noticed that Professor Nastasia asked me at the beginning of this meeting, how is the weather? Because everything here, high context culture, are like New York Stock Exchange. You have to take into account everything, from weather to personal relationships. And you know, high context culture in Romania has the meaning that yes means maybe, and maybe could means no. But no one would say you in the phrase frankly if it's yes or no. Of course, the difference with the case of Yugoslavia, uh, relies on the fact that in Yugoslavia uh, there are two blocks of Pravoslavnik Orthodox Christian culture.
True believers. True believers.
Based, excuse me?
True believers.
True believers. True believers supported by Serbia, Montenegro, and parts of Bosnia Herzegovina, and we have Croatia, which is a Catholic country and very close to the west, to the Italy. If you go to Croatia, everything is in Italian, and that is in English. And this huge difference between Catholic and Orthodox Christianity can be encountered even in economy, in social issues, and in everything. In Romania, we don't have this issue. Of course, we have in Romania all the faith, but the mainstream of cultural and Christian type of religion is Orthodox. So at least we are not great, but we are all the same. In Yugoslavia, if you go to former Republic of Yugoslavia, you will see tremendous differences between Croatia and Serbia. I wouldn't thought that much differences, but they are. Serbia is like Romania and Bulgaria, and Croatia is more like Italy or Slovenia or the center of Europe. And the cultural background is tremendous because Croatia was mainly an Italian, under the Italian and Venice area of influence. And Serbia was mainly independent, always supported by Russia and by Pravoslavnik True Believers Church, because you know that the Russians used to say that Moscow is the third Rome, because we had Rome, Rome has fallen. We had Constantinople, Constantinople has fallen, and now we have Moscow. So Russians and the Serbs and the Bulgarians, as you know, are the last writers in Kirillitsa, the Cyrillic alphabet. So
Cyrillic, yes.
Yes, there are huge differences. In Romania, we have at least a unity in this culture. So this is the way I see the difference between Yugoslavia and Romania. In Romania, we still have unity. The difference between historical provinces, districts, are barely observed. Even then, there is some cultural issues between the former area of influence of Austrian Empire and Ottoman Empire, of course.
Right. So for those who don't know, actually, the historic provinces of Romania are Transylvania to the west, which was part of the Hungarian kingdom and then Austro-Hungarian Empire for 1,000 years. And then it was returned to Romania. Well, Romania didn't exist as a country until 1866, when two provinces, Moldova and the southern part, Wallachia, where Bucharest is, united. And then we had to get rid of the influence of the Ottoman Empire, the Turks, that extended in Eastern Europe. And then we could become a country. And then we brought a German king into the country, and that brought us into the, choir of nations, if you will, European nations. And that remained with the Romanian population an aspiration for generations. But then everything was interrupted after the Second World War with the coming of communism imposed in Romania by the Soviets, not by choice of the Romanian people. Anyhow, I wanted to, for the students who are not present into the discussion, I wanted to read these questions because I didn't have time to share with them all the questions. So Dr. Piroshka, kind of seeing the questions in front of himself, didn't name them, but I saw that you were sending to this culture influence or But the questions were like this: what are some key features of PR in Romania, and how have they been impacted by culture, societal trends, and politics? And then the third question was: students have been reading this week about PR in deeply divided societies, such as former Yugoslavia. While Romania is not such a society, it has had its share of social and political divisions after the fall of communism in 1989. How would you describe the use in Romania and or broader Eastern European context of PR for specific cultural groups, nation branding, etc.? So let's concentrate now, after this kind of small introduction to history of the region and of Romania. Um, how is now Romania trying to build its nation branding?
Well, this is a very difficult issue, and I must say that in the last 10 years, I have seen several campaigns on TV and in the media and in the press and cultural events. Uh, there was even, I can say that there was not less money or interest, but the problem is with the public nowadays, because campaigns for regaining national pride and national branding, because uh, you can have a national branding only if you have, I don't know, Mercedes. We don't have Mercedes. So if you don't have Mercedes or anything spectacular to export, if you don't have a tremendous culture to export or philosophy or music, you have to rely on national values. Just as I will talk later with extending by about China, which now is relying on domestic uh, um, market. So if you want a national branding, and you don't have much to export, even of course Romania, like many other countries, has some cultural enforcers like Constantin Brâncuș or Nadia Comăneci or Gheorghe Hagi. I don't know. In Romania, our students from United States don't know, but in Romania we say that with only one flower you cannot make the spring. So with only a couple of inventors or sport players, we don't have a culture to export. So at least we can make national branding for domestic supporters, for people of Romania, and we can make national branding. Maybe this is a Soviet legacy, I don't know, but we can see it to all the countries. We have to use national values and national heroes and national and facts and events. The problem is that nowadays public and the youngsters and the pupils are interested in material values, in money, in gaining, in having money in a very short time, uh, in having money and use the money with glamour and posh things like cars and not using the money for investing in themselves, in education and so on. So it's very difficult to promote a national hero, an emperor who make the United Romania, the whole United Romania, while we have some youngsters who eventually every day are busy using a smartphone and using the social media for encounters and commenting and giving likes and sharing pages, while you are wasting your time and money making campaigns for the sustaining national branding using history. This is very difficult.
But if I can intervene here, I know that, for example, Romania has done several campaigns to promote tourism to Romania, because Romania is a beautiful country and it has a varied landscape from the Black Sea coast and the Danube Delta, which is a unique place in Europe, to the Carpathian Mountains. and pristine rivers and lakes and forest. Um, and you know, it's a place where Prince, what's his name, of Great Britain, has a summer resort to which he comes every year and retreats over there because it's peaceful, and
Yeah.
because one of the queens of, of Romania, married to a German king in the 20s and 30s, lived in Romania and promoted Romania at the time, dressing like a Romanian peasant, beautiful garment like from the medieval ages. Um, she was, she was the ancestor of this prince. So he said that, you know, he would always come to this beloved place because it brings him peace of mind, and he might be the next king of Great Britain. I don't know if they won't jump a generation, we'll see. But this is something that I have seen very important in the promotion of Romania. Many times it's the talk about tourism.
I still have something
Sure,
on the
sure,
first questions about
sure.
issues about
Yes,
cultural issues, and
yes,
I can say especially on PR, that PR in Romania is under a strong French legacy, because Bucharest was during the 19th century the little Paris, and during the entire modern age until the First World War. Then, of course, we have a strong Balkan and Oriental influence. I probably am the most Balkan guy at this meeting because I am a part Serbian, I am a part Russian, I am a part Hungarian for our fellowship guest here. My name in Hungarian means Red Riding Hood. You know, uh, yes, this is or the red. So I am one of the most Balkan men here, but I am a little proud being Balkan, just as United States Americans from the south of United States have some flavor. Are Americans from the south
right.
are people. Are people together? You cannot get bored. Are very nice people, a specific way of talking, but the problem with Romania is not that the Turkish or Ottoman legacy. It's is more a Greek legacy, because all the emperors who were coming to Romania for about 200 years and a half was Greek from Fanar neighborhood from Constantinople. So we have some Greek type of making business on giving brides, or I don't know. We're not proud of that, but this is what you can encounter in all the Balkans and in many countries from Africa and from Orient. This is sadly our legacy. I am a Balkan guy, not from this perspective. I am from the perspective that I have a very high context culture. High context culture have also Italians from the south. You know, if you go to the south of Italy, you won't find anyone to say this cannot be done. Everyone would say lascia stare, ci penso io, and everything tutto sistemato, and everything eventually everything will get done. This is how is in Romania. As a joke, in Bulgaria, they used to say that if you don't can make something with money, then try with a lot of money. So this is what Balkans are, but we have to use the acceptance, the awareness of being Balkans and having a southern influence by the fact that we have to accept the very high context culture. If you want to make business in Balkans, if you want to make business after Vienna, and I'm sure if is the same in Russia. I've been 3 times in Russia. I have been professor in Russia, and it's almost like in Romania. Everything can be done, and of course, it's not the issue of money or anything illegal. Anything can be done, but you have to wait until the special and the perfect moment when you can ask something. Romania and the cultural problem of PR is like in a story where 2 monks went to a priest and asked for permission to smoke. One monk was refused because he asked, Father, can I smoke during I read the Holy Bible? No, you may not, it is forbidden. The other one asked, Father, can I read the Holy Bible during I'm smoking? Yes, son, of course you can read the Holy Bible. This is what high context culture means, and this is how are public relations in Romania. With high context culture, you ask for the same thing, but in a different way, at the proper moment, at the perfect timing, with the perfect person.
Okay. I wanted to see if Dr. Jakob wants to add something.
No, it's enough from Dr. Piroshka.
Come on, you don't know jokes. Okay, so then let's switch to the questions from the students. And I guess you have your own questions, or if you don't, I have them printed here in front of me and I can go from there. But I would like to honor first the ones who are present at the discussion. So on my list here, I have my first student questions are from Xueting Bai, who is from China.
Xueting Bai, I would very much like to ask Xueting, what is the meaning in Chinese of her name? Because I'm very sure that has a meaning in Chinese. Even my name has a meaning. What is the meaning in Chinese, if there is any?
My name?
Yes. What is the meaning in Chinese?
Xue mean in English is no, and the ting is stop. Like that means like stop the cold, make the weather warm.
Oh yes, very nice. So
Okay.
I knew it. I knew it.
Okay. Well,
you know,
there's many names that I can see here, and I'm sure they all come from a different culture. You know, Brooke, I'm sure you have a very interesting name. We have a body of water that is a brook, right? Right.
Exactly.
Brooke Shields. When I saw Brooke, I was thinking about Brooke Shields.
I'm sorry to disappoint.
No.
Actually, it's an improvement, right?
It's nowhere near of disappointing. It's nowhere near. No.
A brook is a small river.
Oh, right. I didn't know.
Yes.
I'm so sorry that I'm the worst English speaker at this meeting, but this is how the things are. I'm very glad for Xueting for this meeting, because we have a Latin line according to which nomen is omen, meaning that the destiny of a man is in his name. So, Xueting, if your name is greater weather, I'm sure that your spirit and everything you do is like having sun every day. It's very nice. I'm very glad for the significance of your name. I must admit I didn't read very carefully the story of Red Riding Hood, because the ending is not very good. But this is it. So, Xueting, your questions are very difficult. Maybe
let me announce them for the people who will just watch the video.
Yeah, sure.
What impact of the trade war between the US and China do you see on the economies of European countries? How will it affect the direction of China, US, and EU relations? And then, if you were a member of the White House public relations team, how would you handle the issue of Floyd's death?
Yes, there are very difficult, and I'm sure that we can study on a PhD thesis this topic. But the problem is like on the medium run and on the long run, I think China will get a little better. Why? Because in the United States, we already have 14.7% of unemployment under my information, and we're heading towards 20%. I hope for the sake of all of us and for the sake of United States that in United States it won't be reached 20%. Meanwhile, in China the situation is a little better. And what is very interesting is that, and according to the question, we have several countries like Germany, Japan, South Korea, Australia, and Israel with a loss between 1% and 4.5% of unemployment. It's like nothing happens. So maybe on the medium run, China should take into account to extend foreign direct investment in these countries, because as I saw, even though foreign direct investment of US in China remains the same, around $15 billion, foreign direct investments, Chinese foreign direct investments in the United States in the last 2 years had significantly lowered to about 10 or 15% of what was in 2018 before the beginning of this. I don't use the word war, trading war, because everybody is using an iPhone designed in Palo Alto, California, and made in Shenzhen, China. And what is more interesting is like Chinese people still like American brands. Walmart will almost double the number of the stores from China, and we have Popeyes, who became better than McDonald's in China. So it's very interesting that neither coronavirus nor trade tensions can stop US companies push into China. And I think customers, Chinese customers, are very happy, and China is also happy because the engine of the next growth is relying on domestic power of China. China has still room to expand using domestic customers' power. Yes. The problem is that United States, we have elections in about 5 months. If I don't mistake, and
It's November 3rd.
Yes. So if President Trump, who understands that has 10% back to John Biden, will be will be in the same office in the White House, maybe we will see. I don't know what we will see, because I fear about this autumn for next wave of coronavirus. And if we had a next wave of coronavirus and the next lockdown, it won't be of much importance who will be on the White House. It would be very bad for all of us. I don't know if President Trump will be president after this November. Maybe we will have this stalemate. I don't think that things would get worse than that, because customers, American customers and Chinese customers and Romanian customers, who will be very short of iPhone and other goods made in China, will be very unpleased. If you have customers and stock market people unpleased, then you won't have capital to invest, and you won't have profits, and so on. if John Biden will be president, I'm pretty much sure that we have an ease of this tension, and we have a major settlement between China and the United States. This is not a war. The world is like continental drift. From time to time, we have to reshape the world. In the past, we had wars, and it was very bad. Today, we have these tensions, and it was inevitable to have these tensions between two superpowers, which are nowadays United States and China, and just as was 30 years ago, Soviet Union and America. Happily, these two superpowers, China and United States, are more economic powers than are military powers, because you have different super military powers. Just is Russia, India. I'm not very happy Pakistan, because they're also nuclear power, and so on. So it's not a big issue to be a superpower, a military superpower. I'm sure that if Germany would like to be a superpower, of course, can be a superpower. This is not the issue. The superpower of economic power of China and the United States is now reshaping the world. And we have to wait. And not going too far away from the answer of Xuanting. I think on the medium run and on the long run, China would get a little better, but the due date of elections in November keeps us a little out of the reach of seeing the truth, because we don't see it will be different from November, according to which president will be still in the office. And due to a different social approach of President Emmanuel Macron and Chancellor Angela Merkel on redistribution of the wealth in European style. I presume that in Europe the situation will be better, just as it is now with a lower unemployment than in the United States. The second question, if I was a member of the White House, related to the issue of Floyd's death. I don't know. First of all, I know I am a great admirer of the law system in the United States. Of course, in a country with more than 350 million people, you can have a flawless system. I saw some pictures related to the arresting day of Mr. Floyd, and I don't know all the information, because I know that American policemen are one of the nicer and more committed people when you go to America and you have some flat tire or anything. But when you're on the highway and the police highway patrol ask you to do something, you have to do precisely that thing, because you can get shot. I don't know the procedure of making the arrest in the United States. I only know that it's a very specific one. If you don't respect the drill, I don't know, you things can turn in the way. Of course, this morning I saw that in France and in different countries in Europe, population protested supporting this case in America, because if some poor immigrant from Africa, from Mali, went to France and got kicked and beaten by the police in France, no one will write a line. Of course, in America, you can do such a thing because America is America and every citizen has a right. After the case of Floyd, in entire Europe became like a boil room because in every country was a problem related to violence and police, and especially in France. Of course, it's a very bad thing. If I was a member of the PR committee of the White House, of course, I will apologize in of the police. If anything bad is happening to our university, the rector and the deans formally has to take full responsibility. This is the job, and of course, I should take full responsibility. But I think that. I don't want to say that the policeman is not guilty. I just want to say that maybe police, the entire police system from United States needs some procedure paradigm shift. I don't know, because that procedure of taking a guy with your knee on the neck is unusual, but I saw from different picture to different police country that it's a standard procedure, and maybe we should change the procedure.
Yeah, not for 9 minutes.
Yes. Oh, 9 minutes.
Not for 9 minutes, and not when the guy says that he cannot breathe.
Okay.
Yeah, no, the idea is that you are right. This situation created a crisis situation first in the city, then in the state, then in the country, then internationally. And the problem of the White House is that the president didn't allow his PR team to talk. The president started taking sides and menacing with punishment. Hey, if you, the mayor, if you, the governor of Minnesota, will not make order, I will make order. Then there was looting, there was destruction, and the president would say he will bring the National Guard, or he will take over. And when the looting starts, the shooting starts. He tweeted. So to put gas on the fire is not the job of a president. And this, of course, that started all the claims of the past that this has been happening for the African Americans for hundreds of years. And it was happening in the 60s. It happened in the 80s with the riots in LA. It happened in every decade there's some kind of riot. A few years ago, we had Florissant, Missouri, is actually the northern St. Louis part. So it's very close to me here. There has been destruction. There has been fighting with the police, but every day you hear Black people dying, either by killing each other or being killed by the police. And of course, not all the time the police is to be blamed, but that is an unusual death. And it provoked a lot of destruction in the country and around the world.
Yes.
Maybe some of those claims are justified. Okay, I don't want to take too much time on just one set of questions. So let's move to Brooke's questions down the list. And she says, international public relations is a part of the ACS department at the SIUE, whereas PR courses are a part of the business department at Bucharest University. And it's not only that, it's just that in the Academy of Economic Studies, there is this coverage too, but at the University of Bucharest, and there's several universities around the country and in Bucharest that have departments of public relations, not only the Academy of Economic Studies. But do you think this approach to studying PR will lead to an overall difference in the application or practice?
Yes. The difference will be only if somehow we will have regulations to support companies to have PR departments. The truth is that at our faculty we have a council made by 5 companies. Um, PricewaterhouseCoopers, DXC Technology, and Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, which were together, and Bayer Pharmaceutics, and OTP Bank, one of the major, one of the most important bank from Hungary, and almost none of them has a PR department. They have they have, of course, HR department, financial department, and so on, but they don't have a press officer. So there are multinational companies. They have a lot of money. They can support the department with 1 officer and 2 referents, 2 assistants. But they even they don't have it. We have a very important communication department with a very good professor with diplomatic ties and old school and foreign speaking. A foreign language speaker with about 5 or 6 person in that department, and we are a state company. But this is very strange that multinational companies with people from all over the world don't have PR departments. And we want to support PR departments, but if Hewlett-Packard Enterprise does not have a PR department, we cannot ask a PR department to the Romanian police, even though Romanian police has a very good PR department due to some unfortunate events 2 years ago. Just it was in the United States, but not as violent. This is strange that almost every state company has some press officer and PR department, but marketing department and the PR department, which were sometimes melted together in a company. Nowadays, we don't. Foreign companies, don't have it. They used to delegate some responsibilities to a couple of members of board directors, and from time to time they release financial report with some CSR issue and PR problems, but they don't used to have weekly or monthly reports and meeting with the media. Of course, they are organizing 2 or 3 major workshops or financial events a year, but this is pretty much all of it, and everything they want to know about them they publish in economic media, and this is it. If you want, if the communication director of our university would like to speak to communication director of PricewaterhouseCoopers or KPMG, there is no one.
Right. I wanted to add here. I wanted to add here that in the United States and at our university too, we see the need sometimes to completion of the understanding of issues for somebody who studies just communication and public relations. But it's not only towards marketing and doing an MBA, so you are more complete in your knowledge. But it's also visual communication. So, you know, some graphic design, some understanding of the value of recorded materials together with the text, which you call copy, right, for publication. For everywhere, not only in the United States or in Romania, a public relations professional nowadays has to have multiple skills and not just stop with one specialization.
Yeah, yeah. The
Okay.
global pandemic, the second question related to our response to global pandemic, speaking about material things and everything touchful, we are very fine. Um 2 months ago, we didn't even know what Zoom platform means. We have Moodle blended learning system. It's very good, and the shock was very good assimilated of this lockdown. We use, of course, all the sort of pharmaceutical substances, and I I have here a mask, but this is 2 months ago bought it. I don't use it because I was washing anyway my hands because I was afraid of uh, different viruses and
So you
sort
are
of
a germ. You're a germ.
what is the word from for hepatitis?
Hepatitis. Yes.
Hepatitis. I was afraid of hepatitis anyway. I was washing my hand until I was giving away one layer of my skin anyway.
So
But
that is called here to be a germaphobe.
yes, a germ, but it's almost is nearly impossible to live in a jar, in a bottle of it. It's impossible. So we had all these precautions measures with the mask. But this is a mask for this is for 1 month ago for the police. If I went home during the night and police said me, "Wait, where is your mask?" Oh, okay, this is my mask. But in Romania, I was speaking at the beginning of this meeting of very high context culture. The law was that you have to wear a mask. So I am wearing a mask. They didn't say that you have to put the mask on. So you have to wear a mask. So I am wearing the mask. Okay, you have a mask. Yes. Okay, you're free. This is this is Romania. I presume that if I were in Germany or in the United States, wearing a mask was specific to put it and to and you see the mask like this. So people is wearing the mask. Okay, so I am wearing the mask. What is your problem, officer? So this is Romania. So we use the we have the mask. We have some cleaning things and so on, but the most important issue is that me and Professor Jacob had an exam at around 3 hours ago, and everything was fine. We used the platform. We are using the Zoom. We are putting the exams. They can work offline. They send their essays, and this is it. The answer was very good, but all the professors and all the students said that they missed university. All the professors put on their Facebook pages, I miss my students. And students used to say that I never thought that I could ever be missing the faculty. So my answer was that this is all the curses, all the blessed curse. This is a curse from that professors when when you are not present at their courses. They curse you to miss the faculty. So the greater quest is not having the marks and the exams and the assessment, the summer assessment. This is very easy, and it's sometimes it's easier and better using IT system and platforms, but taking into account the synergy of the working place, the material world. I'm for every Zoom meeting, I'm going to my office because I took some courses dressed in my pajamas and slippers in my sofa, having coffee and speaking with my mother for hours and taking cookies with milk. And I wasn't feel that I was working. If I would get, if I would have liked to take a nap, I went to take a nap. And so it was very nice for a week or two. I have played chess with my computer, but after 10 days and so on, I missed my tie, and I miss my university and my office. I miss my boss, and so everybody here, rector and the deans, and almost every people from technical and administrative areas were present during all the lockdown, and most of them didn't have masks because masks was not on the market. Everybody had a mask by his own, and the idea of changing the mask every day and the gloves was nowhere near possible because we at that moment in the beginning of the COVID we had no masks for everyone. So we use everything, but we are very emotionally affected. Professors and students from the last year, from the third year, had graduation festivity, and they refused to have it on Zoom. They preferred to postpone it and were very depressed because they were ready to make pictures dressed like
Graduate.
master students. It was, it is a very important moment in a student's life, and this lockdown took it from them. There is no memory of graduating. This is very sad for them. This is you know, this lockdown of COVID was like an ancient Romanian story with a very bad boy who was arguing every day with his parents, and for every bad deeds, his father was beating Professor Anastasia. Uh, cum se spune?
Nail.
The nail. Sorry. For every bad deeds, his father was beating a nail in a wall. After years, the boy became to act very nice, and for every good deeds, father was putting away a nail. After all the nails, were removed, the boy was very proud and said, "Father, what do you say? We have no nails." "Yes, son, you're right, but what about the holes?" You know, this is the problem with COVID. We have the Zoom. It's very nice that we can have this meeting. We have exams and everything is almost better than before, but these students will always suffer due to loss of graduation meeting and for having coffee with classmates and kisses after their courses because they are young, and walks in the parks. Bucharest is it's a very nice city. It's not Rome or London, but that will do. It's nice. Everything was passed away, and they made all the graduation staying home with their computers and platforms. This is very sad. This is a quest. We are not. We simply cannot face it. Yes.
Okay, I want to be respectful of everybody's time, especially of our the people that we invited. But I wanted, because John is still online over there, I wanted to read his second question to be sure that he will get some answers here. I have read that one important function of public relations may be to strengthen national identity, and this might be a part of nation building. However, such a task seems to take place entirely within a country. What, on the other hand, are some public relations functions that are truly international in nature? For example, how does international public relations differ from domestic or national public relations? In other words, what are some tasks or subjects of communication that international public relations practitioners address. My guess is that with international public relations, the initial mass communication originates in one country and the target audience is located in another country. In what other ways would you explain how international public relations is different from ordinary public relations?
Yes, I thought that the questions of Shuentin were difficult, but John put me in a very difficult spot. I'm trying to assess the difference between international public relations and ordinary public relations.
Right. If I can help with something here, I think there's always the problem of understanding the culture behind the text generated in a different country.
Yes, yes, of course.
If somebody would make a message with one of your jokes in them, you will have to have the person to explain the joke.
Yes, yes.
Because not many people will relate culturally to the background. You know, for example, I know that there was a company in American company that was trying to promote better health education in Brazil. It was like 10 years ago or more. But you know, they put everywhere all kinds of announcements, and they thought they were clear. And they realized that actually the mothers in the families, because it's a Spanish and Catholic country, actually Portuguese Brazil, and a Catholic country, the woman is in charge of education and healthcare for the family. So they were asking themselves, why isn't this campaign in which we pumped millions of dollars so successful? And then they discovered they were putting messages only in English. So if you don't translate and you have to translate it correctly, because there's so many mistakes in translation. So I think that is the biggest problem of international public relations, because you cannot transmute, so to say, the meaning of all the words in a message that you wanted to convey to translate exactly in that foreign language.
Yes, I think we have two very important issues related to the topic of John. First of all, is the problem that we have with the globalization. This lockdown made something was impossible 20 years ago. 20 years ago, I have read, I don't know, 1995, not 20 years ago, 15 years ago, I have read the book of Thomas Friedman, The Lexus and the Olive Tree. And we all were very excited about globalization. And of course, globalization means at that time, internet and stock market and McDonald's. And at the beginning of the book, Thomas Friedman said that the worst person to support globalization is a French citizen of Muslim origins, with Arabic origins and with the Muslim religion. Because, of course, there are nothing bad with Arabic culture and with the Muslim. What was trying to say Thomas Friedman was the traditions and the conservative way of practicing the Islam, which was very opposite to globalization, which means openness and everything new and the traveling of capital and the labor force. This also means international PR, because, of course, the first international PR maybe is the line when in Rome. When you go to Rome, you have to do exactly what the Romans do. And this is international PR. Having globalization, we had international PR. International PR means in Romania PR, because in Romania was PR of any sort. And Anglo-Saxon mainstream and international PR means that the whole Europe, and especially the Eastern Europe, was escaping from Soviet camp, embraced with great joy and very easy the mainstream of Anglo-Saxon PR, international PR. Of course, after 15 or 20 years, in the last 5 years, I have a subscription of hard or I don't know what different publications, and I have encountered the term of multiculturalism. First of all, with great joy and openness, but in the end, I'm not very sure if I read that Peter Drucker of I don't know what management guru, but management authors who were analyzing the situation in multinational companies became to be very not very, but a little skeptical about the success of integrated different employees of different cultures. It was very difficult, and it seems to me impossible until I had one of the at that time I was at the beginning of cooperation with Hewlett-Packard Enterprise. Hewlett-Packard Enterprise has 4 main hubs. One of the hubs is in Romania, because here we have many speakers of different languages. Romanians are studying different languages, even Dutch, or I don't know, not only English or French. And one of the most important hubs of Hewlett-Packard Enterprise was in India. And when they went to India, it was a nightmare, because almost nothing was like it was in the contract. And Indians had a different style of working, with almost not respecting any schedule. But in the end, making the things working, but with the exasperation and the desperating people from even Romanian staff trained in the United States or trained in the style of international PR. International PR meaning mainstream of American PR. This is it. So in India was a disaster. Everything was on the opposite, but in the end they were reporting the same good financial numbers, but with a different pace of measuring the time and the meeting and the meanings, because in India was accustomed to be very impolite, to say that you are not able to do a task, to perform a task. Are you able to perform this task? And you know that Indians had this gesture. You don't know if it's yes or no. This is something like this, and was very difficult. It was the same company, and I have invited Hewlett-Packard Enterprise to our master course to teach us organizational culture, and they said that organizational culture of Hewlett-Packard Enterprise is different in Romania than it is in India. It was very difficult for me to understand. But international PR, I think this is what we know that today is PR. I think it's American PR. It's Anglo-Saxon, but it's more United States than British.
I don't want to keep you all night here, and I know
no, it's okay. I'm in a very good shape, and
it's just that, like you said, American PR is done between the limits established, and I'm sure that my students, after an hour, if we said an hour, they will say they had something else to do. So I don't want to fall into that sin. But I wanted to ask just one last question, and maybe we can have an answer from Dr. Jacob. Maybe. one last question, because I see here Nicholas Schulte is online, but
okay.
we can't see his face, but I know I see his questions here. And it was kind of in tune with what Dr. Piroshka was just saying. So this question is, what is your opinion of the effects of social media on the organizational cultures around the world?
Okay, I think the effects of social media are easily to identify in every field in which the human is involved, from shopping behavior to study behavior. We are all very vulnerable in front of the social media practices and force. The direction in which way the vulnerability goes could be good or bad. It depends at the end of the human being on the way itself manage to understand and to use the social media tool. You could have lots of apples and still be able to identify to good one. It depends on your standards of what a good apple means. If a good apple is any apple, such as information, then thoroughly you would serve yourself no matter how good the apple is. And then the utility of the apple, the satisfaction itself would be insufficient or worst, irrelevant. But on the other hand, if you have expectation, if you have standards, you would see that the stock of apple, its potential context for you to find the good apple you are searching for.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, thank you very much. But I was trying to see.
I have
yes.
One single line for Mr. Schulte, because I spare the best for last. It's an answer about what Americans should do facing. I will only want I would like to be allowed to make a share screen. I want to show you a book.
Right.
A cover of a book. Do you see it?
Not yet, but at the bottom, if you move your mouse, you can see an arrow on green, share screen. So press on that.
So I put share screen. Okay.
Share screen and select.
Now you have to see it.
Not yet, no. You have to click on your computer screen to share the computer screen.
But I think you are not host.
No. It doesn't matter for my account. When I was meeting with my students,
okay.
You can take over.
Okay.
It's not such a fancy account. Click on share screen and then select.
Yes, I'm very sorry. My system has locked up, but I will only say my computer.
Maybe it's because it's abroad and our system from SIE might not allow you. But when I was talking to my students, they could. I don't know. I see that Dr. Jakob. Right. Look, now I see it.
Okay. So
yes,
it's a Robert Kagan book, the world built by America.
Right.
It's written about, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, but I think it's very good for today. So what I would like to say about America, what should America teach about the other people experience in PR or anything? So I would like to see only this. I'm pretty much sure, and Professor Nastasia can agree with me, that in Romania we had a better rural village food kitchen than in America. I think that highways in Germany are better than in America, or the wine in France or the museum in Italy are better in America. But every country is better than America related to one or two aspects. America is better overall than everybody. Americans entered in the Second World War not having an experience on fighting planes. Germans were the masters of the skies. Americans made the best fighters planes, made the best fighter planes. The T-51 Mustang with the Rolls-Royce Merlin engine didn't fail, not even once. Americans didn't have experience on fighting on the sea with the carriers. Japanese Navy had. Americans made it better. Anything America made and gave us as a legacy is better. And I just think that Americans have to wait a little to get off of the lockdown and to have some order in this rearrangement of the world economic order and the tensions with China. I think that America is still in charge in almost everything, in every aspect, and it just has to maintain this mainstream. I don't think that America has anything to learn from others. This book is very good. I think that every American should read this book, and is related to the cultural and political legacy which America gave us. So the book is for Nicolas Schulte. Maybe he will find a little time to read it. It's very good for his answer. And now I'm done. This is.
Thank you. That's very good. You can get out of the sharing screen, and I wanted to signal to my students that in the chat at the beginning of the discussion, Dr. Jacob uploaded a PowerPoint presentation, so please download it for yourselves. Otherwise, I downloaded it and I will put it on Blackboard. And at the very end now, I wanted to see if Dr. Piroshka or Dr. Jacob have any question for us, especially for my students.
You know that 5 minutes before the ending of the course, there is a student who put a question which needs 10 minutes of. Now, we are very grateful for your invitation. I want to extend my greetings to all the participants, and to say to John, to Brooke, to Nicolas Schulte, and to Schwentin, and of course to Professor Anastasia, that we are much welcome if you came to Romania. And I am keen to see you on further events. I promise to improve my English until that moment. And I'm once again, I'm very grateful that we have shared the cultural Romanian experience with Professor Anastasia, which will have more time to explain you.
Right.
Your extracurricular activities. What was the meaning of some of the issues I have said? Thank you very much.
Right. Actually, I wanted to mention to you in 2012, I was able to put together a group of students from SIE, 12 students, and I took them to France in Lyon and to Bucharest in Romania and placed them with public relations firms to do practice for 2 weeks. And then we moved on. But I've been trying every summer to put another group together. It worked again in 2014 when I took them to Munich and Budapest. But since then, I was never able to put again a group. So in the future, if you're interested in any collaboration, I can work with you.
Remember, Professor Anastasia, that I have written in my resume that I am a wilderness leadership instructor. I can teach, we can show to your students our magnificent mountains.
Right,
and,
right.
Yes.
I took them, when I went to Bucharest, I took them to Dracula's castle.
Yes, and the great food, of course.
Yes, yes. Okay, thank you so much for your time. I hope this was instructive for all of you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.